Why, hello, everybody. It is Quentin. Sun is in my eyes on a Washington beach, growing an afro because coronavirus has locked down my barber. Feeling desperate, may shave off all my hair. Phillips. I'm here to talk to you today about psychedelics. So, Quentin, what are we going to talk about today? What is your smiley ass going to talk about today? Will he talk about plants? Will he talk about sacred geometry? Will he talk about mosaics? What I intend to nail down in this video is why exactly the hell I'm so afraid of my favorite psychedelic. Why am I so afraid of magic mushrooms? If you watch this channel and you see some of my trip videos, you may think that I just love taking magic mushrooms, that maybe I'm taking them every other week, every other day, once a month, twice a month. No, I have not taken magic mushrooms for over 6 months, and for good reason. Probably one of the most determining factors in how frequently I use a substance is what dose I'm taking the substance at when I do it. And in my own personal life, I have found that I really prefer to stay in the moderate to high dose magic mushroom dose range. And that says absolutely nothing about which is better. If you would like to stay below, and remember this is all relative to your body composition, but I'm going to give the average. If you would like to stay below 3 grams for most of your magic mushroom explorations, that's completely fine. There is nothing inherently whatsoever better about increasing your dose to something that may feel psychologically disturbing or overwhelming in any way whatsoever. In my own explorations with magic mushrooms, I have really found that the moderate to high dose trips are extremely physically and emotionally taxing. It really does feel like you pay a toll to get the experience that you do. When you decide to take a dose that's going to sweep you off your feet and, for better or worse, shoot you into the stars, that will probably, with psychological support, be one of the most powerful experiences of your life. But the flip side of that coin is that it's one of the most powerful experiences of your life. The hardest thing for me about these high dose magic mushroom trips is the amount of unconscious material in my own psyche that it brings to the surface. I feel like I just dug through pay dirt or maybe mud for hours after I have a high dose magic mushroom experience. The things that occur are also so damn unpredictable. That's definitely a reason why I find these things so frightening. When I take LSD, and I've done so, I'm not quite sure how many times now, I wouldn't say that I'm ever in control, but I would say that there is something about the predictability of LSD that psilocybin does not have. I could take psilocybin with my best friends in a room that's extremely happy with nothing going wrong whatsoever. And somehow it's possible, if I took a dose, say above 5 grams, that I could be smashed into the ground by my own destruction of my ego and this overwhelming weight of the universe that's basically just forcing me to submit. I might have thought that I was going to play the flute with my friends around the campfire. Turns out I'm in the tent thinking about repressed memories that I've held for, how long. So, what do I make of something that when I take it, I'm not sure if it's going to dig up elements of the psyche that I can't handle? Well, for me personally, I act on the assumption that I can handle it. But just because I can handle it doesn't mean I want to do this all the time. If we are going to keep going with this metaphor of digging up the pay dirt of the unconscious, it really doesn't make any sense to me to keep digging a hole too deep. It seems to me that these things need to be sifted through for quite some time. The trauma, the memories that you don't want to remember, the emotions that you felt that you tried to forget about, all of these elements of what you might call uncomfortable, unconscious phenomena that you're being reminded of, these have tremendous value if they're sifted through. And to keep digging is basically just to keep piling on dirt on top of this mountain that you're building. Sorting through your psychological soil that you've just dug from the dirt of your unconscious is hard. And I don't think I'm telling anybody that by saying it. For myself, as somebody who has probably gone through mild troubles and tribulations, probably nothing even compared to anybody in the third world or who's really struggling in the first world for whatever reason, those people are going to have a lot to sort through. So I totally understand the people who say, I did mushrooms one time and I'm done. Because for some people, they are done. And if your friend says they're done, let them be done. Because if someone had told me 1 month later that I had to take magic mushrooms again after my most recent experience, and maybe I was a little more susceptible to peer influence, that would be a nightmare scenario for me. Ask yourself why you're entering this sacred realm. Ask yourself why you want to go there. Maybe ask yourself, these are really notes to self, ask yourself what you want to change, or more importantly, ask what you have changed since your last experience. If it has been 2.5 weeks and your tolerance is most certainly active, and you already haven't really even processed what just occurred to you in the UFO on your last trip, maybe don't go in the UFO again. That's just my personal preference. Nothing nothing wrong with if you'd like to go your own path. Just be safe and, do what's right for you. Use your own intuitional clock for when the time is right to trip again, while also using the rational side of your mind, which asks the questions that I just stated before about if it should be time to trip again. There's the famous Terence McKenna quote, when you get the message, hang up the phone. And I think that really, really applies here. When you get the impression that you have learned what you can from the journey you've been on, leave the journey and return home. Return home and process what you learned. And really, that means to integrate what you learned. And one of the reasons why I haven't taken magic mushrooms in 6 months is because I don't want to go back into the experience that I had only to be told by my subconscious or interdimensional aliens or some archetypal representation of a creature that I can't even fathom. I don't want to be told the exact same thing. I don't want to be told that we addressed this last time, Quentin, and you failed to integrate. Because I think that's what some people do. I think some people are losing the forest for the trees, so to speak. They're so obsessed with provoking this catalytic experience that they don't want to absorb the catalytic experience. And so, in any metaphor we really use, if you picture hammering a sword like as a blacksmith, and the sword is white hot, you don't keep hammering the sword. You let it harden once again, and then it becomes a sword. If you were to just keep the sword on the block the entire time and hammer away while it's molten, it's going to break. Think about these things as important catalytic experiences that you can harness, integrate, and implement in your own life. Join the damn Discord. Why are you playing around? If you're watching this channel, join the damn Discord, because when this, I'm not going to call it a cult, but when this cult finally takes over and we seize these nearby islands in this region over here, you want to be on the right side of history. That's all I'm saying. But all jokes aside, you should join it because it's an amazing community of people that are probably just like you. I mean, I see conversations every day of people mentioning, I'm so glad I have a place to talk about the things that I have nobody to talk about with. So come on in and say hey. So besides the emotional and physical exhaustion that can definitely occur on any moderate, even low dose of magic mushrooms, the next thing that I said was that it's good old-fashioned fear. It's being an ape on this planet that is afraid of death, that is afraid of being confronted with reality, that is afraid of being confronted with vulnerability, and probably more central, afraid of losing its sense of being, afraid of losing its ego or identity. These are things that grasp at the cage as you clink it shut on psychedelics. It's not the type of fear of mortality that we feel in our daily life where it's a background thought. It's the type of thoughts where you're concentrating deeply on your friends and family meeting their end, which will eventually happen, unfortunately. I hate to break the news to you. Spoiler alert. But it's this embodied feeling, and I talk a lot about embodied feelings, but the embodied sense of mortality is something that magic mushrooms basically just press into my chest with a stone. The nausea that I get when I take psilocin is terrible, and maybe I'll just lump this in with some of my other fears about high doses of psilocybin. The nausea. Now, I don't know if some of you people out here are Iron Man or you're cyborgs or you just have stomachs of steel. I've even seen some of you crazy people say that you enjoy the taste of magic mushrooms, but I've tried capsules, I've tried edibles. Always I get this nauseous feeling. One of my biggest fears surrounding nausea and magic mushrooms is the combination of how intense a come up can be combined with nausea. One of the less glamorous things that we probably think about is, what am I going to do when I'm on the toilet tripping my balls off? What am I going to do when I feel constipated, or the opposite, tripping my balls off? I have had trips before where mostly the initial 2 hours is just consumed by this nauseous feeling that I have in my stomach. And that often results in going to the bathroom, doing the deed, vomiting occasionally. I very infrequently vomit, but I definitely get feelings that I want to vomit. And this is worth knowing, if you haven't taken magic mushrooms, don't think there's no cost. At least don't think there's a guarantee of no cost. You might be one of the lucky ones among us that are going to comment in the comments below that get none of these symptoms. You don't get nausea, and you love the taste. So maybe these are the descendants of the ancient Aztec warriors that I should just defer to and stop making the video. In the future, I'm definitely going to have a lot more emotional support during these journeys, because you can go to dark, dark places on mushrooms, and I'll make let's not make any qualms about that. Like, that's a fact. I've had the best experiences of my life on magic mushrooms, but I've also had some of the most stressful experiences. I will call them transformative and necessary, but some of the most stressful experiences of my life as well. But I want to talk about this notion of psilocybin with psychological support. This is something that comes up in the literature a lot, and we really should be talking about it more as a community, because maybe quite often you've cited to friends and family these John Hopkins or studies from Roland Griffiths showing the antidepressant, anti-addictive, etc., yada yada benefits of psilocybin. What you need to know is that all of those benefits, all of the cancer patients who are feeling much better now, all of these drug addicts who are feeling much better now after treatment, they went through psychological support simultaneously. None, zero, nada of these people took a psilocybin capsule and felt better just instantly. I think the sooner that we all acknowledge that, at least the best science currently seems to indicate that psilocybin taken with any element of psychological support, be that a support team, a supportive member of your family or friend, or somebody you can depend on, is very crucial to this experience. Again, this does not minimize anybody's mind-blowing experiences alone. My most powerful mind-blowing experience has been alone. That's not the point. The point is, if we want to create a new culture of psilocybin use, and we want to really talk about what it will look like when decriminalization occurs nationwide, or if we were lucky in our wildest dreams, when legalization occurs nationwide, do we really want to be in a situation where a number of people keep taking these substances without psychological support and blasting their experience all over the media? So what does it mean ultimately to be afraid? Well, because I don't fear for my health whatsoever, because there's very, very, very low toxicity to these things, it really just seems like an obstacle that I need to face forthrightly. And that's not drug abuse. That's not taking these things to an extreme or in a context that's unsafe. I guess to me it represents a series of psychological hurdles that I think I need to jump over to develop myself into a person. For some people, maybe they can flee to the east, or they can meditate for the next 10 years, or they can join some type of recreational sport that really connects them to this deep human experience, or this psychological state that is very meaningful. But I think my path is to confront these apprehensions that I have towards these safe substances and to move forward. I'm not going to push it too far. I'm not just going to have a blank statement that I will always take magic mushrooms. And I can definitely envision a time where I get the final phone call, so to speak, and I hang up for the last time. But I'm not there yet. And I think it's important that we rationalize our fears. We look at them and we say, why do they exist? And I think this video sort of covered why they exist. They exist for deeply human reasons, and those deeply human reasons are always going to be a barrier. They're going to be a barrier if you want to climb a mountain. They're going to be a barrier if you want to do anything that stretches yourself beyond what you might be capable of. But in that domain is where gold is found, right? Hey guys, you know what time it is. This is the time where I thank each and every single one of you, my amazing Patreon supporters, for keeping this channel going. If it wasn't for you guys, I really would have no consistent source of income on YouTube because YouTube, for whatever reason, chooses to hide and demonetize my content quite often. So thank you so much. You are really essential to the making of this channel. Let's get into the list here. As always, Damian Scoose, Austin, Andrew Dowling, Pitcoob, Rakaya Benoit, Leg Edward, John Takusis, Voyager, Blue Thought, Tap, Jonathan Johnson, Morty, Zebediah, Yehuda Petscher, Leo Avila, Ethan Beitel, Christian Bernadel, Justin Mumma, Nathan Milbrandt, Jerry Sidener, Turtle Toast, Nathan Yeshuran, Toxic Player, Jackson Powers, Professor, Tatum Scott, Jake Hall, Gray, Barnacle Blitz, The Happy Hour Show, Oven Watt Kenobi, Flameproof, Danny Cameron, I'm so sorry for missing you last time, Karenda, Dennis Sheridan, Toxic Player, Oops, Said You Twice, Xavier, Mohiyidine Cheikh, 3-Pounder, Miguel Navarro, Ohram Mcleod, Alex Miser, Lithium Blodwyn, Surina, King Ragnar, Choosy, Ashkor Draxon, Eric Sear, Jedimanos, Adam Sornat, Jason Barnes, Devin Hall, Rudy Riza, Sarap Chapagain, Anti Miko Makanen. Eventually this is going to be like a beautiful song. Overdue, Robbie, Rainbow, 666, Cody, Connor Nelson, Dendare Lotus, Mike Wazowski, Lee Ron, Kevin, Lynn Norton, Meteor, Steven, Jack Donahue, Ruhan, York Tormalin, Louis LeLouis, Chicks, and Dylan Brown. Thank you guys so much once again, and I don't know what else to say. I'll see you next time.